So what about these true-tempered frets? Are the claims that they are perfect true? But some data suggests that maybe perfect is not exactly the right term. If you watched my last video, I provided 7 completely different techniques to fix G-string intonation problems. One of those fixes was to convert to a true tempered fretboard. These are fretboards whose frets look like squiggles instead of normal straight frets. The purpose is to get perfect tuning like a piano without any chords that clash together. Well, today I dig a little deeper into how those fretboards were invented and dive into some of the manufacturer's claims that they are perfect. I'm going to make this one short, so stick around to the end. The answer may surprise you. So in my last video, I mentioned the true tempered frets have funny looking frets designed to try and make intonation perfect. This is to try to get them to be more like a piano's equal tempered scale. Now, equal tempered scale is not perfect, but it does allow you to play in any key. So I also mentioned that you need a special tuner. But the more I thought about those two statements, the more I thought, well, maybe something is off here. Why would you need a special tuner? So True Temperament uses curved frets. It was a passion of Anders Thidell, the inventor of true tempered frets. I recently discovered that he has passed away at the age of 55. But he was truly a genius, and he was very passionate about getting tuning as absolutely perfect as he possibly could, because he noticed the intonation problems that I discussed in the last video. And that is that a guitar is intonated at the 12th fret, because when we press down on the 12th fret, we're actually bending the string and it goes sharp. So that's why we have to adjust the saddle to compensate. Well, all frets do this. Some bend more than others, depending on whether it's a solid string or a wound string. And the distance from the nut or the bridge to the fret has something to do with the exact pitch that comes out. Now, if you don't believe me that when you push down on a note, you're bending it, push down on a note and bend it 1/16 of an inch like you would if you were a blues player. You will notice that you can detect a slight difference in pitch, and this in a chord can sound pretty bad, because you really want things as perfect as possible in a chord, so that all the harmonics don't clash against each other and they all vibrate in unison. And you can tell the difference when one note is slightly off and you play a chord. It shows up. So Thidell studied this for years, making adjustments to the fretboard and the frets itself to compensate for the bending and the string types and the distance from the ends. He aimed for near perfect 12-tone equal tempered intonation across the fretboard. Now, curved frets will adjust each note for the string-specific pitch behavior. Like I said, as you go in different parts of the neck, the amount of bend and the amount of elasticity of that string, whether it's wound or solid, has a difference in pitch. So he had to make a few compromises, though. And this is why you need the special tuner. The tuning offsets for the open strings, like the high E and the B, is a -1 cent. Now, that's not a whole lot. The G string is a little bit off, it's +4 cents. The D is +2 cents, so you need to make that a little bit sharp. The A string is perfect, no adjustment whatsoever, 0 cents adjustment. And the low E string is a -2 or flat 2 cents to make all of his true temperament frets work out perfectly, or as near perfect as possible throughout the whole fretboard. So you got to remember now that the equal tempered scale, like the piano, is slightly off so that you can play in any key. It's a compromise. True temperament is as close as possible to equal temperament. It's an improvement over standard frets because you get enhanced chord clarity and harmonic richness, and you get closer alignment with the actual 12-note equal tempered scale. And this helps a lot with ensembles and playing with pianos and things like that. You get consistent intonation with all keys. Unlike just intonation, or it's also called true intonation, which is based on ratios of frequencies so that all the harmonics just are perfect, perfect, perfect. Trumpet players have this problem, but they can only play naturally in one key. As a matter of fact, a trumpet player has to bend his lips a little bit and do weird things to actually play in other keys than the key that his trumpet is naturally tuned to by the physics of it. So it's a big issue. But the equal tempered scale is the closest thing we have so that we can play in any key that we want, and the notes are just a few cents off and barely perceptible, and it really sounds good. I mean, pianos sound good. You know, we're talking that the science is right about all that. So, what about the adjustment that people have to make to curve frets? Well, it turns out that there's no impact on playability. The people that play these fretboards cannot tell the difference that the frets are squiggly or whatever, and they just find it natural to play. There's no inherent key on a true tempered scale that is better or worse than the other. They are equally all just as crappy, but it's not crappy. It's really, really good. They're just like a piano, maybe just a hair off, but they're just like a piano. Open string heavy keys may highlight the small tuning offsets that I just mentioned. Fretted notes remain in tune across all keys due to the fret adjustments. If you find value in this video and would like to help spread the word, please tell your friends about it by sharing, liking, and subscribing to keep getting content like this. Every bit helps YouTube spread the word. I would appreciate your support. Okay, so one issue is you require specialized tuners like the Peterson Strobo Stomp HD. You can get by without it. You can tune it somewhat normally, tune octaves, tune every E string, every G note, and just try to match all the strings like that. Some of the strings you can tune with the regular fifth fret type of work, but you got to remember that the lower strings have to have that little bit of offset. So generally, even if you have a standard tuner, you could see that offset. And then there are other tuners that are programmable to any offset you want. But those offsets are necessary so that all the frets work out evenly. The bad thing is the high cost. I think I was looking at the True Temperament website, which sells authorized replacement neck. I believe the company was partly owned by Thidell. At any rate, they sell like replacement necks for Strats and Tellys, and they have the equal tempered frets, and they're not that cheap. They're but they're not really expensive. They're in about the $600-700 range. Now, in reality, some of these benefits are less noticeable in single note or distorted playing. Because in single notes, your fingers may correct the pitch if slightly flat by adding a little bit of bend. Your ear corrects for things like that. The tuning offsets do deviate from pure equal temperament, undermining the perfect claim that some manufacturers say. So, to separate the hype versus reality, if you have read Perfect Intonation in some of the guitar manufacturers' literature, it is a bit exaggerated. This system, in effect, optimizes the fretboard and its nuances towards true temperament. It's not flawless. It's not mathematically equal tempered, but it does sound perfect. And that's the bottom line. It outperforms standard guitars, but mostly benefits chords. So what I'm saying is, it's not as noticeable on solos, but it definitely is a beautiful sound when you play a chord. A lot of work was done by Anders Thidell to perfect. He did this by trial and error. I think it took him like 5 years of creating fretboard after fretboard. I watched an interview with him on YouTube. This was to fix this idiosyncrasy caused because you have to bend a string down, and the different strings react differently to that. Solid versus wound, they're basically different in the amount that they stretch. So, what is the conclusion here? The true tempered scale or the true tempered fret is a significant intonation improvement, especially for chordal clarity. It has near uniform accuracy across all keys, much like a piano. It has minimal variation. It's a sophisticated compromise balancing the guitar physics and equal temperament. And that's why they call it true temperament. The pros of the pros use guitars like this. It's not BS. It sounds as good as a guitar can get. It does sound perfect, even though if it was, it can't. So leave your comments below. What do you think about this stuff? And don't forget to like and subscribe if I have earned your support. And above all, don't forget, keep playing.